Hello everyone, in this video we are exploring online payments without using a third-party payment processor. Yes, completely cutting out the middleman, pure peer-to-peer payment. In this case we are transferring funds between a customer and a web shop. No Visa, no MasterCard, no PayPal, no bank or any other kind of money institute between the shop and the customer. I'll show you exactly how this can be done in a bit. I'll be acting as both the web shopper and the shop. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to need two things. First, a web shop, and secondly, a way to transfer funds between the two parties. As for the web shop, I have here on my laptop localhost running a MedusaJS webshop. If you don't know Medusa, it is an open source, free to use e-commerce platform that allow you to build customizations into it, such as a custom payment module. And if you want to learn more about Medusa, I have a lot of video guides on that. And I also have a one-click deploy template that with just one click of a button will give you an online, fully operational Medusa webshop in less than 10 minutes, no technical skills required. I'll make sure to leave a link to this guide in the video description. As for the way to transfer money or funds between the two parties, I'm going to be using the Solana blockchain, mainly because of how it handles transaction. They are very fast and the transaction fee is almost non-existent. You'll be paying less than a cent per transaction. Additionally, it has a very robust and easy to work with developer ecosystem, which just makes life easier. So if it wasn't clear already, this payment module is using cryptocurrency and blockchain technology to facilitate payments. As for the payment module itself, it is just code that automates the whole process of converting the price in the shopping cart from fiat currency to Solana, and then requesting the funds from the shopper with a QR code. And then on the back end, it's handling verifying transactions and placing the order, automating the whole process so that the shop owner doesn't have to do any manual work whatsoever. Right after I demonstrate the checkout flow, it'll get a little bit nerdy and I'll go into technical details about how the payment system works. Unfortunately, I cannot show any code examples with you today because the module has not been publicly released yet, but it will be open sourced in the near future. And if you cannot wait for that, just stick around until the end of this video because I'll be telling you how you can become an early tester and get access to it already today. But without further ado, let's complete a checkout flow here on the Medusa webshop using Solana. So I'll just add some items to my shopping cart here, some shorts. I think I'm a large, and let's get something more. Let's get also a t-shirt, large, and a white one. All right, we have a few items in our shopping cart now, so I'll go to the cart. And we'll go to the checkout page. And I'm pre-filling with John Doe's information. He is the shopper, but let's actually just grab a 10-minute mail so we can verify that we get the email, the order email verification once the order has been placed. I'll copy this to clipboard and go back over here and replace John Doe's email with this one. All right, I'll get express shipping. And now for the payment options, and as you can see here, I can choose either credit card or Solana, and then there's this testing only for localhost development. But because the price is in euros, we can go ahead and use credit card, and this would go through Stripe if I enter my credit card details here. So the customer can still check out items using a credit card, but they now also have this additional option, which is pay with Solana. So if I click this one and continue to review, you'll see that if you're familiar with MedusaJS, you know that this is not the normal next step, but this one have been changed. So it says, to place order, please complete the payment below. And then here there are some details with it. There is an amount of SOL, and then there is here a wallet address that needs where the money needs to be sent to. And here is the QR code that the user can scan with the phone. So if you just give me 1 second, I'll swap my webcam around and then I can film from my own point of view so you can see how it works with the phone and everything. All right, so we have now turned the camera around and we are seeing the screen where the QR code is still open, I'll take my iPhone here and then I'll open the Phantom Wallet app. And you'll see here, if I can autofocus, I have two accounts here. I have one called Cold Wallet and then I have one called Shopper. And the Shopper has quite some Solana in it right now. And those will be used to make the payment with. And the Cold Wallet is, I'm going to explain what that is for later in the technical details, but eventually the money will end up in the Cold Wallet. So if we go into this one here, you'll see it has 0.95 Solana at the current moment, and that should be increased later after we're making the payment. And if we see here at the Shopper, it has 17.27 Solana. But if I click on the scan icon right here, you'll see it pops up pretty quickly. And then there is this message saying the wallet is empty. And I'll also be explaining you why the wallet on the screen here is empty. It's a one-time wallet, and that's for privacy reasons. But we'll go into details about that in the technical explanation later. But the important thing is here that we just verified that the address is right. So this one starts with FSRC, and I can see here on the laptop screen, you can probably not see it from this view here, but it is indeed the correct one. And the amount that it says here on the screen is also exactly the amount I see there. Let me just zoom in the screen a little bit. Yeah, so that's better. So you can see 0.1958, and that is exactly what we see here. And also, if we can get autofocus to focus here, you see that it's indeed FZRC. All right, but I'll click the send button, and then my phone wallet app is making the transaction. It takes just a few seconds. And then we have to wait up until maximum 1 minute, I believe, for the transaction to go fully through. It took not so long because we are already now here at the order confirmation page. And if we go over to our 10-minute email inbox over here, let's see. And we did get also an order confirmation email. It is not formatted so nicely in this inbox view right here. But if we go over to my recent dashboard, which is the service managing all the emails, and I refresh here, we can see that there is indeed a delivered email right here. And inside here, it is formatted a lot more nicely. All right, let me just turn off the webcam and go back to the screen recording. Give me 1 second. All right, we are now back at the desktop recording, and just to finish off the demonstration, let's head over to the MedusaJS admin dashboard and check on the orders here. And we can see, oh, I got logged out. Give me a second. Yeah, we are now logged in again, and we can see here, indeed, there is order number 17, and this is today, just a few minutes ago, 30 euros, and to the customer with this funky one-time address. And we can see all the details here, and under the payments we can see that this was finalized with a Solana payment, and the system have already marked the payment as captured. So let me just go into some technical details about how this whole payment system works and why the payment is captured. So I have here a blog post that I'm going to be releasing very soon, and it is going into details about the whole payment module and some technical aspects of it, challenges, and what's still missing with it because it's not fully developed yet. But if we scroll down here to this sequence diagram, then I can go through what is happening. And it starts with the customer. They have already a shopping cart full of some item, and then they initiate the checkout flow. And when they do that, the shop will then prompt them with payment options, and whatever you have enabled in your MedusaJS application will be there. And I had Stripe, so credit card payment, and I have the Solana enabled. And the customer in our case chooses Solana. And when they do that, a little bit more things than what this chart shows here. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. So it requests the Solana payment, and then what you can't see here is actually that the backend is going to an external API and getting these 30 euro converted into Solana. So it gets a real-time price because the price of Solana is, and all our cryptocurrencies are very volatile and fluctuates a lot. So we need the latest price. So the backend is converting in real-time conversion rate right here. And then it's also creating this one-time wallet address that I was talking about before. So it's creating an address that the user can send money to that have never been used before and will only be used for this transaction. And the reason for this is two things. It's privacy. So like if I was using the same wallet address to receive all funds from all orders and customers, then any customer could just go into the Solana blockchain and look up that address, and then they would see my entire transaction history. So like for industry espionage, it would be very easy for other competitors to see exactly how my shop is doing and all that. We don't want to disclose any of that information. Also, the customers are not supposed to be knowing what transactions went before them. So it's a privacy thing, but it's also so it's very easy for us and secure to verify exactly who the payment is coming from. So when we make this one-time wallet address, we save it in the payment session, and we know exactly what address to look up in the blockchain to verify where a payment came from. And when we have done all that, then as you saw on the screen, a QR code is displayed with these two values. So it contains the amount of SOL that needs to be transferred, and it contains the wallet address. And then I'll zoom out a little bit again here. Then it's up to the customer to make the payment, and they are doing that exactly directly to the blockchain. So no payment processor in between, like with traditional payments. All these other crypto online payment systems that you might see on some webshops saying pay with crypto, and then it's a company called BitPay, and there's a few others, and then you don't pay directly to the wallet of the webshop. You actually pay to a man in the middle with those as well. So these BitPay will take your crypto, and then they will send fiat currency to the webshop, and then while doing that, they will charge a very high transaction fee and give you bad conversion rates. And also you have to upload your driver license and wave your head in front of a camera and all that. It's not at all peer-to-peer, and it's not at all fast or anything like that. It's a hassle, but it is a way to pay with cryptocurrency. But this one is directly from the customer sending the payment via the Solana blockchain to our address. And then here on the back end, we have a loop, a scheduled task running once per minute. It is checking are there any payment session that needs to be checked, and it found our payment session, and then it calls the API of the Solana blockchain and checks has the funds been transferred, and it did. And then it's going through this cycle of things here. So it's authorizing the payment, but it's also capturing the payment at the same time. And these two are building blocks in the Medusa payment workflow. And normally the first step is to authorizing the payment. That is when you provide the credit card details, and the third-party payment processor is requesting some details from the bank. Is this a real credit card, and is the customer allowed to make, do they have funds? Are they allowed to make any payment? And then yes, when we get that response, we would authorize the payment, and then the capturing the payment would happen later, maybe the next day, when the money has actually been transferred from the bank to your bank account. But with cryptocurrency, that's different, because when the user makes this transaction and puts the Solana into your wallet, then these two happens at the same time. So we're authorizing and capturing the payment at the same time. And then also what's happening here is that we from the backend is placing the order, and that's also a little bit untraditional, because normally the placing the order would be the action of the user. They click a button, they have put in their credit card details, and they click place the order, and then it is placed. But what can happen here is that if they send the Solana from the checkout page and then they close the web shop, then we have received the payment, but they had to click a button, so the order was never placed because they didn't do that. And that's why this module will place the order once the funds have been received. So even if the user closes the page before getting the confirmation page, the order will still be placed. And as you see here, the next step is sending the order confirmation email, so they will still get the order confirmation email. Okay, and here is another thing, like with these one-time wallet addresses, that's it's not very convenient to collect all the funds from a lot of different orders, and that's why I showed you this cold storage wallet that I also had in my Phantom app. And so when the payment has been completed by the user and we have captured it and placed the order and everything, then the payment module sends all these funds to our cold storage wallet. And there's two reasons for that. One is that we want to have all the funds in one place, and the second is that the cold storage wallet is supposed to be a more secure place to keep the funds. So the secret, the private key of the one-time wallets, it is technically digitalized. It is on the webshop itself, and if hackers got access to that, they could steal your money. And that's why we want to have a cold wallet where the funds eventually end up. And the cold wallet, it just means that the private key have never been on the internet or any other digital device, so it will be very difficult to hack. And then once the funds have been transferred, the order has been placed. The reason why the shopper gets the order confirmation page is simply because this loop here, the front end, is polling constantly for the cart to be updated. And once we have the order placed thing done, and the storefront is polling and it's getting a cart updated with the order placed, then we show this order confirmation page, which is exactly that. So that's how the technical aspect of how this payment module works. Now, this is not perfect, and let me explain you why. So one thing that is missing currently, but what will be implemented soon, is a payment session expiration. And currently, when the user is initiating a payment session and we are getting the price converted of the shopping cart, let's say they have a 100 euro worth of items converted to Solana, and let's say that is the price of 1 SOL that day. But the user could then not finalize the payment, and then they could wait, let's say a week maybe, and then they can come back and they can see, oh, I still have to pay 1 SOL, but now the Solana price have actually fallen to maybe 50 euro instead, and then they can buy 1 SOL with 50 euro, make the transaction because the payment session wasn't updated, and then they would eventually get a discount of 50%, which is not intentional. So because the cryptocurrency prices are so volatile, it's important that you expire payment session, and I'll be adding that to this system very soon. It should be relatively simple. It's just deleting the payment session after an interval. I believe something like 10 or 15 minutes should be reasonable, because the prices don't change that much within that short time. So logging a payment price within 10-15 minutes, I think, will be reasonable. Other than that, I have a little roadmap somewhere right here. And I'm going to be adding this payment session expiration thing, some more error handling, and then some more integration to the admin dashboard, so that we can get a little bit more details about these Solana transaction right here in the admin dashboard. But that's gonna be all for the payment module. I think once this is done, I'll release it as an NPM package. And before I wrap up this video, I'll just scroll all the way down to this boring section here with a disclaimer. Make sure to read the disclaimer. If you decide to take any inspiration from this video or use this open source software once it is released, it is 100% at your own risk. If you lose any funds, whether it's because of your own clumsiness with private keys or bugs in the software or hacking, I will not be responsible for any of that. This is open source software, free to use, but use it at your own risk. Additionally, make sure you know the laws and regulations and rules where you are, what applies to you, because there are regulations for cryptocurrency and payments. So make sure that you understand that before you end up accidentally breaking the law. All right, if you cannot wait for this to be released and you want to test it already, as I mentioned earlier, I'll tell you what you need to do. You just go to the info page on my blog here, where there will be an email address, and you can reach out directly to me, and I can make sure that you'll get a copy of this software so you can use it. You can also just leave a comment in the YouTube section, and we'll get in touch, and I'll make sure that you get a copy of it. Okay, but that's all for now. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.